Well, folks, it's been quite a while since I did a Suzuki video. Yeah, and all my videos on my channel, there's two things that people were always interested in. Number one, ugly sticks. I got 3 left to get rid of. And Suzuki outboard maintenance. And I guess probably the third one back in the day was stealing my trout fishing spots. So what is this video going to be about? Well, as you can see, got a 90 on the new boat. And let me tell you, I like it a lot more than probably other engines that I've had. 90 Suzuki. Of course I went with a Suzuki because I'm familiar with them since I've had 2 250 horsepowers in the past on my old boat. So I naturally went with them, and I have a wonderful, fantastic, there's not enough adjectives to describe this man, up in Long Island, New York, which is a subscriber to this channel. There's not enough adjectives to describe him. That is a Suzuki mechanic who's a big contributor to this channel. He is extremely helpful all the time. He has gotten me out of so many spots. It's unbelievable. And has helped me immensely over the years. He'll help you too. He's always willing to help. That's the kind of guy he is. His name is Orowalk on the channel. So if you see him comment, say hello. Orowalk. He's been around for a long, long time. Well, what are we looking at here? We're looking at the Suzuki 90 with the cover off. Let me just go over a few things that make this so much, I don't know, easier for me than the 250 Suzukis that I had on my other boat. Of course, I don't need a big ginormous engine on this boat, as you can see. And you can see the bottom. It is about as flat as you could actually get. So, what are we looking at here as far as maintenance? Well, the first thing that Orowalk, which is also known as Dr. Gary, his real name is Gary. No, he's not a medical MD, but he is the doctor of disaster when it comes to working on Suzukis, I believe Yamahas. He'll work on anything, but he's really kind of a Suzuki Yamaha, I guess, kind of guy. More Suzuki than anything, I guess. I'm not really sure, but he's definitely Suzuki through and through. First thing he mentioned to me is, guess what, Dave? You don't have to worry because this Suzuki does not have a fuel cooler. Now, there's so many people out there that I've talked to over the years who might run in absolute garbage water like the St. Johns River is, full of particulates, dirt. Just got over not long ago a 7 to 8 year dredging project. At one point it was right in front of the boat ramp. The water was putrid. Okay, it's full of tannin from further down river where there's cypress trees in the water. leaves, roots, all that gets in and makes when the water is clear, makes the water look like tea or, let's say, Coca-Cola, okay, with a yellow tinge. And what does that do to an outboard? Well, number one, where I'm fishing in the St. Johns River, it is not one bit fresh. There is no brackish. I know because I've run up and down the river all over the place, and I have done salinity tests throughout the years. Okay, so it's all salt. I mean, maybe after like an absolute killer of a hurricane that dumped so much rain on Florida that it ends up in the river. And what people don't know is the St. Johns River travels north. Okay, but it doesn't really travel that much. I think the difference of where it pumps out of the Florida aquifer as far as springs go, 310 miles south of where I fish, the land only drops, the elevation only drops like 30 feet or something. So what is pulling and making the fresh water, if it would come towards Jacksonville, what is that? It's tide pull. The tide's pulling and the tide's encroaching. And that gets into this whole entire shipping thing and dredge projects that are just kind of killing the river. Okay, there's no more, from what I gather, I haven't been down there in years, but a friend just told me there's no more eelgrass down where we used to bass fish when I was actually wanting to bass fish. So, okay, with all that said, there's no fuel cooler. The fuel cooler would be over this way. Okay. It actually looked like this. And as a matter of fact, let me show you a fuel cooler that came out of a Suzuki 250. I happen to have one right here in the maintenance. This is the maintenance cabinet. All right. So this here is a Suzuki 250 maintenance, or not, what am I saying? This is a Suzuki 250 fuel cooler. Fuel's on one side, water is on the other. And this literally had, which is crazy, this is where the water came in and like the water went out. But look at these 90-degree angles. Now this is where the fuel went in. This is where the water. This was water. This was fuel. Look at the 90-degree turns that this has to make. And guess what this did? It got stopped up. And what was there? There was pressed in aluminum plugs on each end. Now I've replaced it. This was the one that I did a MacGyver fix on. I drilled them out and JB welded them, and it held for years and years. This is no problem until I replaced it, and this thing was probably over $100 for this right here. So I had to drill this out because it got clogged. There is no fuel cooler on this. As a matter of fact, I haven't done any disassembly. Really? So I can't tell you. Oh, I guess it is up here maybe. A VST tank, vapor separator tank. I guess Orwalk can chime in. But you know, on the Suzuki 250, and probably the 200 and the 300 and the 350 and the 5,000, or whatever the hell they're making now, it was right here. And that's where the fuel cooler was, behind the VST tank, the vapor separator tank. and that had a pump in it and all this. So, but as far as maintenance is concerned, there's when I actually changed it out at 20 hours, the oil. The initial oil change was back on June 20th at 20 hours. This is kind of weird, isn't it? The fuel or the oil filter sits down. So I can see that being sort of an issue. You got to stuff rags, paper towels down in here, because inevitably, one of them 50-cent words, you're going to pull this out. And of course, you're going to get oil spillage, drippage, and or spillage down in there, which I already did, and I had to stuff paper towels down there. Here is the famous, what I call the famous, this here is your interior zincs, right? Your anodes. I've already at 20 hours pulled these out just to take a look at them. You only have this one and this one in here that I can see. Okay, I don't see any others. So it's only got two. Now, of course, you're probably going to have one down here like you did in the old 250. There's probably one right in there. Uh-oh, there's the bat phone. Hold on. All right, where was I? That was Traveler Bob calling me because he's going to be here next week. The guy I consider, his nickname is Traveler Bob, but his other nickname is My Last Customer, because he's the only one that I could ever count on, you know. So, all right, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, only having these two, and I'm sure there's a anode down here around the oil crankcase, oil pan, or whatever. I don't know. I'm going to have to look in the book. But the nice thing about this looks like it's easier to get out of here. This low pressure oil water fuel separator. That looks like that's easier. On my 250, it was up here, and it was just a royal biatch to get on out of here kind of thing. I don't really and then of course let's see, spark plugs, 1 2 3 4, so I, 4-cylinder 90. At one point I only thought this was a 3-cylinder. So really, between oil, keeping clean fuel, and anodes under the cover here, and then spark plugs, you don't have to do them. I do these basically, I've always done spark plugs like once a year. But I don't know if there's really much else to do. I mean, the other boat, of course, with the 250 Suzuki on it, had, 6 anodes. So everything is a little less here, 1 gallon of oil versus, I believe the other one was almost, let's say, like 2 gallons. So yeah, everything's just kind of the way I planned it. I mean, I didn't plan it, but I planned it, maintenance wise and things like that. Now, there's no maintenance really on this jack plate down here, the Atlas jack plate. But I was watching another guy somewhere over there in Mississippi or the Gulf or something, and he talked about how the little contactor type switch or something will go bad. So what I did is I bought one a long time ago. And believe it or not, on this boat, way up under here, where is it? Behind the battery there is where I believe that switch is. But then again, I take the strap off of this battery and I can just pull everything out. So it's easy to get to. Fuel filter. It's actually got, I can turn the fuel off. See that red lever? And it's just one of these spin-off fuel filters. The bilge pump, I can put my hands right on it. The fuel tank, I take those straps off and I can literally pick it up and pull it out, which I've only done once or twice so far. So this is basically a lot easier for me to maintain. Everything is easier. So I wasn't going to get hydraulic steering when it comes to the whole shooting match here, but to bring, and you can't see it now, but to bring the cable through here and up here, the angle was just too ridiculous. So we did go with the hydraulic steering, and there's always maintenance for these end caps and things. But as far as the Suzuki goes, pretty just standard stuff. No electric actuator shifting, it's just cables. Yeah, it's just cables. I mean, you can see the gauge I have here. I haven't talked about any of this. You just got this side mount binnacle, and this is sort of an all-in-one gauge. See where that's sitting right now, that needle? There's 0, and there's 1000 RPM. See where it's sitting right now? That actually turns out to be your hour meter on an engine like this. I think that's gonna be, it's just short of getting to be 90 maybe. You got to look in the book. Each one of these hash marks is a amount of time. So I don't think that when it's dead on 1000 here, it's 100 hours or 200 hours or 300 or 400 or 500, 600, 700. I don't think that's the way it is. Could be, but I think they start these hash marks. I don't know. I can't really remember, but the alarm will go off the check engine. You got temperature, oil, and you got a limit, rev limiter, and these lights go off. So everything's very simple, you know, but this is what I spend. That right there, that trolling motor, that's where I spend most of my time. And you will not believe how long that battery, that 36-volt battery lasts. It's incredible how long that lasts. So either way, I was just going to do a little heads up here about the old 90 Suzuki. I was just checking my oil. I was watching a video. I don't know if it was a mechanic talking about it or what. Oh yeah, no, it was a channel about boats, and they were talking about the Mercury with the hatch up here where you can pull the dipstick out and add oil and everything. And yes, with those ginormous, you know, 300s and things like that, they were saying that that is so handy because 99% of the people don't want to take their cover off just to check their oil. So oil doesn't get checked. Not until they take it somewhere and they, you know, have the oil changed or something like that. So I love the fact that I can pick this up with one hand, where taking the 250 Suzuki engine cover off, I had to climb up a ladder, and it was literally a ball buster the way it was. For some reason it was just a ball buster. So everything is easier on Dave. So I don't know if you learned anything with this, but you got to see why, maybe a little bit of why I made the switch to 20-foot flat bottom. Here's one thing that I didn't realize, and I was never told, and I wish I went with. SeaDek makes a type of SeaDek called HD. One of my favorite terms, heavy duty. And it's got kind of an outside, it's harder. This is soft. I can push my, I can push my finger right into it. It's harder. Look at it, made a mark. I saw at Hanko's, they did a brand new, they restyled a bay boat, redesigned a bay boat, which is just bad to the bone. Okay, for a guy. And they redid the entire hull and everything, redesigned it. And they had this black or dark gray SeaDek HD on it. And I wish I was told about the SeaDek HD, because I might have gotten it on all the heavy wear places, like the bow. I believe I would have gotten it on the bow at least, and these two boxes, because that's where a lot of foot traffic is, and it looks like it's easier to clean. So maybe I would have gotten it up here, and maybe even on the gunnels, but I wouldn't have needed it on the seat, even though, look at the stains, some blood spots or something there. As you can see, this is a big storage area. So I would have probably have done that. See, they don't even use it down here on this McLean trailer. This is all SeaDek type stuff here. They don't use the HD on that. But if you're thinking about it, look into the HD SeaDek. It's just something to think about. I was never told. I never knew there was a SeaDek HD. So, alrighty folks, I've rambled on enough. Oh, wait a minute. There's another one. This is all water jacket right here. There's another anode. I might pull that one just to take a look-see. I might pull that one. So you got 1, 2, 3 total. 3 total, and I'm sure there's one right there. A neglected one, because taking these plastic side covers off, I don't care. I don't care if it's a Suzuki, a 90, a 350. It don't matter. This is a pain. Pain in the butt. So, alrighty folks, thanks for watching. If you learned anything, or were interested, or have any ideas or anything, shoot a comment below. You know, I always like discussing things with folks, you know. So I appreciate you stopping by. See you later.